Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Shad Marie. Today I'll be doing a really fun and entertaining video, which is to celebrate Jin's birthday. So first and foremost, before I actually start the video, I do want to thank Melanie for coming up with this idea and for inviting me to participate in this secret project as well. I will also include the other booktubers who are participating in this secret project down below as well. But anyways, for my video here, I decided to go with books that either reminds me of each member or books I personally will recommend to each member. So the first member that we have for BTS is RM. He is the leader of the group. It was actually kind of easy for me to think of a book for RM because he is very intellectual. I see him as very hardworking, very dedicated. So I thought that maybe recommending memoirs or autobiographies by likewise hardworking people will be really good for him. And so I have two books for him. One is Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. This was such a good memoir. And the second book is Becoming by Michelle Obama. I haven't actually read this one yet, but for those who have read it, I've only heard really good things about it, and so I can see him really enjoying both of these books. Then the second member we have here is Jin, and he is basically the whole reason for this whole secret project video because it is his birthday. So happy birthday, Jin. He's also my bias for those who don't know, but for him, I see him as the mom of the group. I always see him taking care of the other members. He's always cooking for them, just taking care of them of their general needs. And so for him, it's kind of a cheat here because I decided to go with a cookbook. I just feel like he can totally benefit from that. I don't have a specific cookbook in mind really because I don't really read cookbooks or use cookbooks, but there's one that I have seen recently about pretty often, and it was also recently nominated for Goodreads, and that is Antoni in the Kitchen by Antoni Porowski. I think that's his last name. I just know that he's the guy from Queer Eye, but I just feel like a cookbook in general would be something that Jin can totally appreciate. Then the third member of BTS is Suga. I always see him as someone kind of quiet, kind of introverted, kind of sensitive, and very dedicated. And so because of that, I can kind of see him reading a poetry collection. Again, I can't think of any specific poetry collections because I don't really read any, but I just knew that I didn't want to pick anything that was romance related or something to do with love, but something to do with life or hope or something like that in general. So I did find one that I think he would kind of appreciate, and that is Empty Bottles Full of Stories by R.H. Sin, because this book, this poetry collection, deals a lot with the soul, and I can definitely see Suga enjoying this. The next member we have here is J-Hope. He is always cheerful. I just never see him upset, well, except when he's mad, then like that's a different story, but he's always a cheerful guy. And so for him, I wanted to pick a feel-good type of book. So I decided to go with The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. This is very much a feel-good, very cute graphic novel. I also couldn't see him reading something long, like a longer book, so I thought a graphic novel would be better suited for J-Hope. The next member is Jimin, who is also my bias. For those who don't know, I have two biases, Jin and Jimin, so both of them hold extra dear to my heart here. But Jimin here, I also see him as very sensitive. I see him as very dedicated, hardworking, but I also see him as kind of a perfectionist because he's always trying his best, which is good, but he always tries to be perfect. And so for him, for whatever reason, I can totally see him reading some sort of romance graphic novel. And so I cheated again a little bit here because I once again picked The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. I also think that this book would be perfect for him, not just because it's a cute romance graphic novel, but also because this book does a lot of acceptance and learning to accept who you are and others accepting for who you are. And I feel like this message is also really important, so I think Jimin will really like this as well. Then the next member here is V, or Taehyung. V is definitely an interesting member. I don't understand him the most. He's definitely the most out there member for me, and so I always see him as someone who is kind of in his own world, very carefree, and so I decided to pick a book that is very whimsical. And the more I think about it, the more I think that this book that I picked for him is so perfect because I decided to go with the Raven Boy Cycle by Maggie Stiffwater because it is lyrical, it's whimsical, and it's all about dreams, which are kind of three things that I feel like can represent V very well. So I personally think this would be perfect for him. I don't know if he'll actually read the whole series, like I can't see him reading the whole series, but I can definitely see him at least reading the first book. And finally, we're at our last member here, our maknae, and that is Jungkook, or JK. I don't know why for him, but I can totally see him reading some sort of like horror slash mystery novel, probably because I see him as very competitive, like very competitive, that I can totally see him trying to outwit the other characters by being not scared or trying to figure out who is behind everything. So I have two books I think would be perfect or reminds me of him. The first one is Rules for Vanishing by Kate Alice Marshall, and the second book is Neverworld Wake by Marissa Pessel, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. But both of these books are creepy, they're horror, they're mysteries, and I think will be perfect for Jungkook. So anyways, these are all the books that I either recommend to them or books that reminds me of them, kind of both ways to be honest. But I had a lot of fun in making this video and coming up with books that I think each member will really like, or each book that reminds me of each member. But anyways, let me know down below if you're also a fan of BTS, and if so, which member is your bias? If you don't like BTS, do you listen to K-pop? If you do, which girl group, which boy group do you enjoy? Let me know down below as well. And once again, I do want to thank Melanie for creating this idea and inviting me to participate. But anyways, as always, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe down below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!